I really had it on my heart to approach you about the term, that phrase. I felt like I had to. So much time had passed, but I felt like I owed it to the culture. But I think it was more of a personal thing versus than me putting you on the spot, asking it. I love the way you responded it.
What was the phrase?
You people, your people.
Oh, but who did I say that to?
It was you and AD in the height of the COVID.
Oh, okay, with the vaccine conversation. I recall.
And
right.
my people were hesitant to get in line. And you were indignant toward AD, impressing him as why he don't use his voice to be more vocal and motivating your people to get with the program. Do you realize that your people are going to cause it to be adverse reaction because they're not with the jab? And AD was trying to express to you our apprehensions as a culture, and you didn't quite get it.
And that I recall this, and that you were somewhat happy because of the fact that I acknowledged that I didn't like the way that I had handled that. For the record, this was like when COVID was first coming out. Me and AD had a blowout argument on the podcast, and it was weird because at that time we were many months away from the vaccines even existing, so it was like very early on in the conversation. But I definitely, like, having seen how the discourse kind of happened after that, there's like such a stereotype of the white liberal who basically talks down on everybody that hasn't been triple boosted, et cetera, et cetera. So even though I would say for the average American that getting vaccinated, especially if you live with old people or anything like that, or work with old people, or if you're around a lot of people, like through your job or whatever, I think it's probably a pretty good idea. But I don't think you're going to like convince people to take that kind of thing seriously by sort of like calling them dumb, which is maybe not literally what I said, but it was definitely like something in that.
It takes a big man to admit that, because I didn't even phrase it that way. And that's basically how it came across.
Yeah.
And the fact that you was receptive to that, because you know, you indignant. You could easily have came with a sarcastic, snarky response to make it justify what you said, but you allowed me to hold you accountable for that, and you stood on that, and I respected that. I kind of wanted the world to see it, but the fact that they didn't see it, I was kind of thinking like maybe that was just a moment for me and Adam to understand each other as men, but now you're still comfortable explaining it, so maybe it was something that needed to be shared. I don't know. I know when Tyreek Nasheed was on his way up here, I tried to press him to question you about it because I thought he would be the perfect person.
Oh, really?
And when he didn't, I sent him the clips. And he told me, all right. Then y'all had the whole interview. Shout out to Tyreek Nasheed. Yeah, the fact that he chose to not bring it up, I was like, damn, it's still on me. And then look how much time had passed.
I think a lot of people are weary of bringing up anything about the vax, the jab on camera, because they kind of know that that's a pretty good way to get demonetized or get a YouTube video, whatever. So they feel like if they bring it up, it'll be like extra edgy / it might get cut from the final thing, which I would not personally do unless I absolutely had to. Okay. But also I feel like he's been on the show I think 3 times, and like the first time was with me and Flacco or something, and then the 2 more recent times have just been him and Flacco, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah. And I don't know if I'm blending events, but in the past, did you and he had negative encounters, right? Me
and Tariq, no, I don't think so.
Okay, no, okay. But I want to say
probably
this.
One of the very few white people that he hasn't really had like a little scrap with online.
Okay. I want to say this just while we on the subject matter. My issue for the audience was the term your people in relation to the term, the historical context of the term you people.
Right.
And just being young, I can't quite remember my age. I believe I was a teen. I can't name the individual, but there was a media person. Media wasn't what it was now, so it really stood out. There was a media individual that was a Caucasian that used the phrase "you people" to describe black people, and I remember he got fired. It was like before cancel culture, he was canceled.
Really?
So me also not really taking it personal because I knew you weren't thinking in that context.
Yeah, I
just made the connection and couldn't wait to confront you with what's the difference between you people and your people, because you know you got somewhat of a racist accusations against you.
Fair enough.
And me not knowing you and knowing you were a debater and knowing controversy, and I couldn't wait to ask you about these certain things.
But you know what it is too, is like, especially in that circumstance, we were having that conversation before we kind of like knew how the whole vax conversation would play out. So acting like you know everything or acting like you're 100% sure of what the correct medical advice, whatever, is like kind of silly when you think about how this whole situation played out, where the vaccines didn't end up really like stopping the spread in the same way that we thought that it would. It definitely like mitigates your you know, situations that you're going to have to deal with. Like myself personally, when I had it, I was absolutely in terms of like my body, just like the pain and like I was just so exhausted for like over a month after that. But the vaccines didn't end up doing exactly what we thought they were going to do. So that's just, to me, that was kind of a learning experience. And I have a lot of respect for people who can go and have conversations with people who are on the opposite side of them ideologically. Likewise. And be able to have intelligent conversations. And you don't want to be the guy who's basically just accusing everybody of being a puppet or being stupid or being misinformed just because they have a different opinion than you. Like, that's just not going to sway people. So if you want to sway people, you got to meet them where they're at.
Sugar and shit. You get more, what they say, you get more flies with sugar than shit, or catch more bees. Yeah, some of that nature.
Is that true? Because every time I'm cleaning up dog shit in the yard, there's so many flies on that
You
thing.
ain't never lied. That might have been the wrong analogy to make, man. Oh, my. But
I never had a pile of sugar in my yard either.
Why would we?
Yeah. But now I'm kind of thinking about it.
I know to that point, I take notes from like Malcolm X, Farrakhan, Martin Luther King. And when I watch old footage and see them having conversations in very like controversial times about very sensitive subjects, and they are able to have the dialogue without getting emotional, without reverting to rage. And I try to take notes on that when it's time to have conversations when you're on opposite sides of very sensitive issues. So for you to mention being able to appreciate people who can dialogue and disagree, I have the same appreciation for that.
But you know what's interesting though is I think, okay, like I've been on a lot of different podcasts where we end up talking about doing porn, being a porn star, like et cetera, and like people always have criticisms or questions or whatever. And I've been in a lot of those conversations, and I always end up getting compliments for, oh, you totally disagree with my side of this topic or whatever, but I appreciate the way that you had this conversation because you didn't try to shut the other person down. You listened, you gave them your opinion, you tried to be very human about it and everything like that, which I appreciate those compliments. But why am I able to have those conversations in a pretty confident way is because I'm very secure in that. I've had those conversations over and over and over. So it's very familiar ground with me. And why would I maybe potentially resort to like calling somebody dumb or getting angry or getting heated when having a conversation about stuff like the vaccine? Well, I'm not a scientist. Correct. You know?
I think you just probably want to go outside. You want to take your mask off. You want to go back to the club. You want to, and it seemed as if there was a portion of society that was being resistant, and it comes across racial because you're talking about a group of people, and it's our group of people. You don't care if they were purple, pink, yellow, but it's those people, and you were just talking about, everybody don't get at your people, but us, there's going to be a sensitivity to a reaction of it, and I just think it's like you say, people understanding each other and getting to the conversation and getting to an understanding and then trying to do their best not to offend one another as they move forward, because it's bound to happen again, and as long as we're honest with it when it occurs, I think, because you're definitely not a bigot.
Right.
But I think everybody is to some degree racist.
But I think I also had like a fantasy version of how COVID was going to play out in my head where I felt like, no, this is something where if we don't all get vaccinated, then we might all die. And if there's even a handful or 5% of society that doesn't do it, then that's going to be like really fucked up, which it is kind of easy to imagine a scenario where we could have another pandemic that would be even worse. And imagine if that was the scenario where it was really, let's say that COVID was like 100 times more deadly and spread 100 times faster, but the vaccines were 100 times more effective.
You know what's crazy to me?
That would be a situation in which you really...
That's all the movies we've seen.
But you still probably wouldn't be wise to try to get the point across with the vaccines by being super in people's faces and being disrespectful about it. Even if it was life or death, you still probably need to think about how you're messaging this to the world if you want to accomplish your objective.
If there was a fire outside this door, will we give a fuck of how someone came and said, hey, let's get out of here, the building's burning? We wouldn't care about the delivery.
True.
So I think more so in that scenario is this. Damn, they got the whispering that threw me off, cuz that's crazy. That shit fucked me up. They, hey, homie, hey, please.
Good guy. Doing my job right there.
No, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, he just fucked off my whole train of thought. I had something I wanted to say, definitely. But that's how they marketed to us. We've seen that movie a million times. If you notice, once COVID hit, all those outbreak movies was like just popping up #1 on streaming. I watched it. I realized we've seen this movie a million times. I just don't think you were aware of our history with, you know what I'm saying, being vaccinated against our will and knowledge, And even outside of my culture, when you think of like MK Ultra and things of that nature, the government has been known to be quite deceptive in a lot of cases when it comes to injections and giving treatments, and even the way Africa is treated when it comes to the types of experiments and vaccinations. This is why we had the natural apprehension. It just seemed to me you wasn't aware of why we were like not on board. And that's all it was. And I just know it came across as if you were insensitive to our plight.
Yeah, definitely. No, I feel like that may have been also at a time where I kind of felt like I was sort of losing control of the podcast to a certain extent, and I felt like I was just trying to like regain control over certain conversations, because there are times where people could say things on the podcast that are, you know, it's their opinion, but it's also sometimes veering into like conspiracy theories, and not all conspiracy theories are built equally, you know, because sometimes there's just stuff that I feel like it's sort of inappropriate to air.
We just hit 600,000 subscribers on the Clips channel right here. We're trying to get to 700, so you know what to do. Smack that red button and subscribe. Appreciate you.